Hey guys, this is the Module 3A retest. These are your required tutorials before you can actually take the retest. This test was over proportional relationships, and please remember a proportional relationship must have all of the following. It has to pass through the origin, 0, 0, and you can represent that on a table or an equation, and we'll talk about how. Has a constant rate of change, which means it is only being multiplied every single time. No addition, no subtraction, and because of that constant rate of change, when it's graphed, it does make a straight line. So let's look at one of the test questions. Which graph shows a non-proportional linear relationship between x and y? Please remember the three things. Passes through 0, 0, makes a straight line, has a constant rate of change. Your answer here should have been B, does not a non-proportional, because this one does not pass through the origin, 0, 0. So that one was pretty easy. Let's look at a table regarding this stuff. This is a question we've had several times. Guys, all I want to know is how to get from here to here. It's an input-output table. You've been doing these since 5th grade. How do you get from one side to the next? So you can divide to figure that out and see what you get. Like 40 over 5 is 8. Hopefully you do know that one in your head. 5 times 8 is 40. 9 times 8 is 72. 15 times 8 is 120. 25 times 8. So this equation would be x times 8 equals y, or 8x, because that's how we say multiplication now, equals y. So that's that equation. You can tell that you are just multiplying across. Guys, this that you use right here to be multiplied across, that's called your slope. It is your y over your x. So let's look how we get from here to here. This one I do not know in my head, but again, you can still do your slope to figure it out. Just divide. If I do 106 over 8, I get 13.25. If I do 120 over 10, I get, on this one, I get 12. So because I'm not multiplying by the same thing like I was here, this one is not proportional. Not proportional. Now, we did talk about how do you find what the slope is if it's not proportional. Well, you were still going to do y over x, except for now you have to subtract. You do have to find the difference, and please remember those 1, 2, and 3 is just the number in the chart there. So 120 minus 106, 10 minus 8, and this formula is always given to you. And you divide. So from here to here, they are saying it's times 7. So on each of those, I'm going to multiply by 7. This is my slope. I am multiplying by 7. But when I multiply by 7, I get 56. I get I get 70, 112, and 175, and on here I get 210. Okay, so when I multiply those, I do not get the same answer. I multiplied by my slope, 7, but didn't get the answer. The reason you're not going to get the answer is because, remember, this is not proportional. You can't just multiply. So you need to figure out how to get from your answers to their answers. And to get from my answers to their answers, I found that I need to add 50. 56 plus 50 is 106. 70 plus 50 is 120. 112 plus 50 is 162. So I know this is accurate because I do the same thing to every one of them. And it's an equation, so I do need that equal sign. So let's look at some questions like this. Your test question looked like this, and it says a gym charges a membership fee plus an additional fee per yoga class. The table shows a linear relationship between the number of yoga classes taken and the total cost, including the membership fee. The question is, how do we get from here to here? So you could divide each one of these, but you are going to find out they are not proportional. I know it's reading the question, I know it's not proportional because it says plus. So I know I'm doing something extra besides multiplying anyways, which means we need to use this formula. When I do that, I get 75 minus 6750, and I get the 8 minus 6. So I do all of this, and I get 750, and every time you're here, clearly that's not an answer, you need to divide. So I'm going to multiply by 375. Guys, every yoga class costs $3.75. One yoga class times $3.75 would be $3.75. 6 yoga classes times $3.75, whatever you get there. Now you're not going to get the $67.50 because you still have to add the membership fee. But it does say the additional fee is $3.75, and that's what I was looking for. So here is another question. Which situation could not represent a proportional relationship? A, the number of gallons of water in X barrels with 42 gallons in each barrel. B, the amount of employee who makes $8.50 an hour and works 8 hours. C, the weight of X weeks of a puppy that gains 2 pounds per week if its starting weight is 8 pounds. D, the cost of purchasing P pounds of bananas for 55 cents per pound. Go through them, figure out which one is adding still or subtracting. Your answer should have been C. And the reason being is because the weight of X weeks of puppy gains 2 pounds per week. So 2 pounds every week. I don't know how many weeks it's been, but its starting weight is 8. So it started here. It didn't start at 0, guys. It started at 8. So that would be the equation, and that's why it's not proportional. The last part of your test heavily relies on having how to know to combine like terms. Sorry. So we had talked about the variables being like jerseys. And so you're going to combine the same teammates, the people wearing the same jerseys. Guys, you have 2X and you add 3X, you now have 5X. Okay? So we had talked about how to do that. Now, you can do this several ways. We specifically talked about on the Desmos calculator, just entering that stuff in. You get to use a calculator this year, guys. It's not cheating, I promise. So go to your Desmos calculator, enter in the whole equation, the whole sentence. So 5x minus 7 and then equals 4x. And I don't know if you noticed, but there's a green line going everywhere, plus 2. And then when you're done, push enter. Look at that green line. Wherever that green line crosses is going to be your answer. So that green line crosses at 9. That's your answer. There's nothing else you have to do. If you would like to do it mathematically, guys, again, you still have your teammates. So for example, 5x and 4x are still teammates. If you want to move it over and you have to cross the equal sign, please remember to get rid of it, you have to do the opposite. If it's like a balance beam, if you take it off one side, it has to be taken off the other. If you add it to one side, you have to add it to the other so that they stay balanced. So on here, I do want to move the 4x over. Right now it is being added. So I'm going to subtract it. So I'm going to subtract it from both sides. And when I subtract it, I get 1x minus 7 equals 2 because this one cancels out. And then again, if I want to move the 7 over to the other side, you have to do the opposite. You add 7, x equals 9. And so you know from looking at Desmos, that's where it crossed the line. So here's just another way to prove that. So your test questions look like the following. The value of x makes this equation to be true. Go put this in your Desmos calculator. When you do that, 12x minus 15, and I'm going to get rid of this other one. So 12x minus 15 equals 6 minus 3x. And you can see where this crosses, and you can see it says 1.4 and 0. Well, what is 1.4? Because all of my answers here were a fraction. When you're looking here, remember we push this button, it becomes a fraction. So you can find your answer is 7/5, just like that. You can see that it's a D. If you would like to do this differently, please remember you just have to move your x's together. So to get rid of this 3x, I add 3x to both sides. 15x minus 15 equals 6. I'm going to add 15 to both sides. 15x equals 21. And finally, to get rid of this 15, I divide. X equals 21 over 15. Or if I can simplify both of those by 3, it would equal 7/5. 7/5. So either way that you would like to do it, I'll say the calculator is much easier. The final question that you had that we were going to go over looks just the same except for it's in words. Julie started with 20 pieces of gum and she gave away X pieces. So she started with 20 and she gave away or she subtracted X pieces. Conrad started with 35 pieces and then he gave away twice as many. And it says, how many pieces of gum did Julie give away if they had the same number of pieces of gum left? So same number, they are equal. Guys, go put this in the Desmos calculator. 20 minus X. And then equals 35 minus 2X. And you can see that line's going around there. You can see that that is at 5. Your answer when you were doing this should have been 5. So you can also just go ahead and get rid of this 2X. I always like to move mine to the left, just a preference. 20, that's positive plus X now, equals 35, subtract. And I did not get the same thing, so let's see what I did wrong on this Desmos calculator. X equals 15. Did I write everything down correctly? No, I did not. This is why, right here at the 35. So go make sure you check your work, apparently. But now I can see that it does say 15, okay? So put it in the calculator to answer. If you like balancing your equations, you're more than welcome to do that by hand. Just make sure that you are checking through to make sure that you have everything correct. And that is it. This is what your retest will be over, guys. Please make sure that you email me with any questions that you may have and to let me know that you have finished this Ed puzzle.